All right, let's get to our MVP awards now, beginning with the National League. In the first half of the season, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt for this one. You could look around and pick a couple of different guys. I think the guys on the Nationals canceled themselves out, whether you want to go with Zimmerman, Harper, or Murphy. Dodgers have a good, well-balanced team. I'm not going to give it to Bellinger just yet. I guess you could make an argument for Bellinger, maybe even a guy like Justin Turner when those guys are healthy. But come on, we're talking about Goldschmidt has been so underrated. I think if you take Goldschmidt off the Diamondbacks, that hurts them more than it would taking any of the other players I mentioned off their respective teams. So to me, he's the most valuable player. Diamondbacks are a good team, but Paul Goldschmidt leads the way there.
To that point, I'm going to stay with the first baseman for the National League MVP. Imagine if, and the Reds, they need a guy like Joey Votto just to be where they are. If he were taken off, can you imagine just how badly this season might be for the Cincinnati Reds? Joey Votto leads the National League in OPS. He has 24 home runs, so he's tied for the league lead in that category with Clay Bellinger. 61 RBI. Or Cody, I'm sorry. I say Clay, his father, who's going to be pitching to him in the Home Run Derby. A 1,051 OPS here. I think this guy has been underrated because, underrated and somewhat overlooked. A former MVP now, mind you, but these last couple of years, people have kind of forgotten about him, I think. And I don't know what the Reds' plans are, but I got to think that a contender would love to have somebody like him now. Whether or not the Reds are asking for too high of a price in return, that might be keeping them from making a deal. And Votto, of course, is somebody that's beloved by the Cincinnati fan base, but he could definitely help put a charge into a contender.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because you're right. He kind of fell off the last couple of years. Ever since that vertigo stuff he was dealing with years ago, right? He fell off, and you never thought, maybe this is it for
anybody who's had that, by the way. They say it's agony. You're feeling nauseous 24/7.
But he's come back nicely and having another MVP type year for the Reds, and it does go overlooked because they've been a bad baseball team, because they're buried in that NL Central. But his numbers are great. Right. He's having a great year.
Look, there are other candidates, but the Nationals, I feel like with Harper, Zimmerman, and Murphy, they're all at the top of the league leaders among various stats. But it's like, okay, who really is the best of the three there? The Dodgers, you've mentioned a couple of names there. Who's really the best player in that situation? So, and I love Goldie, but they also have a really good lineup there. Not that they don't have good players there in Cincinnati, because their offense, when they're clicking, they can put some runs on the board. But Joey Votto is the heart and soul of that lineup.
Yeah.
So I will go with him as my MVP. Now, I don't know if that's going to hold for the entirety of the season, but for now, I'm happy to give it to Joey Votto.